and actually one particular, it's like you just don't forget those days, right? When like everything was mayhem. Like we didn't
I,
know what we were doing, right? Like we just did it. Like,
yeah, I like the mayhem because you know
yeah,
what? It's when we were most excited and learning,
yeah,
growing and figuring things out. And I always tell my team, you're not going to learn how to skateboard or ride a bike by watching videos on YouTube. I tell my kids that. You got to get out there and try it. So,
yeah.
would you share a little bit of your story with us?
I sure will. And sorry if I'm playing around with this. I'm trying to do it so I don't have to use my hands. So, okay, so I was introduced to before it's funny because I'm like, wait, what's before isogenics? Before isogenics, I was a do as I say, not as I do fitness instructor. I was literally teaching like just multiple classes. I would literally teach 3 classes in a row, and like on the way home I would get like a 7-Eleven sandwich with like chips. And it's not that I didn't know how to eat. I was in fitness. It's just I wasn't willing to put the time into it to make 3-4 healthy meals a day. I was also going to school with, more than full time, like 17, 18, 19 credits plus bartending. So you could say I was a little busy. And my sister, she not only introduced me to Isogenics, she bought it for me for Christmas, had it in my mom's foyer, no bow, nothing, because she was really concerned about my health. I was just like tired all the time. I was 31 when she introduced me to these products, and I just never fit the part of fitness. I wasn't eating right. I always had that fluff, not a lot of energy. So after utilizing the products, I, within 2 weeks, felt amazing, like amazing. And I was like the worst cleanser. I mean, I went from sugary coffee where you could sip the sugar through the straw and chew it, to like not even like, I'm not like a sugar person anymore. I know that sounds so gross. And then, after doing the program, I was doing so well, still in fitness. I finished college at 33, looking for a teaching job that I was crazy passionate about and more than qualified for. Still bartending, teaching 20 classes, like in 2 different counties. And I would stand behind the bar and count all the jobs I had, how much money I would make, and then how much my bills were, and to see what I had left over. So my sister told me about the business, but I was one of those people who were like, I am never doing one of those things. Like, network marketing, it just sounded icky to me. And people had approached to me about it before in the past, but I just never gave it any mind. But I then found out, years later, that I just wasn't educated on the word. I didn't understand what network marketing actually was. So literally, guys, after 2 years of telling me, do this business, I would give my sister referrals. I went to an event and it changed my life. Like literally walked into this hotel room. There was probably like 35 of us. Mostly everybody was 50 and older. But I'll never forget Jimmy Smith and a couple of the other trainers just telling me that I could be, do, or have anything. And it was just, I can't really explain it. It was just an energy shift. And I like kind of was like, all right. And even though I still thought it was kind of weird, I went back to an event and another event. And that was 9 years ago. This will be this celebration. Maybe it's my 7th. I actually should go back and count specifically, because I went more for going to California than I did for Isogenics. But that was the first time in my entire life that I actually wrote down a goal. And my first goal was to make $50,000 in Isogenics. My sister hit me and I'm like, fine, I'll change it to 75. And I never thought that was possible. And here we are, and I'm literally making $1 million a year.
Is that crazy for you to even say that out loud? Because you're so like humble. You're like, I don't even want to mention the money. I'm like, you have to mention the money. It's important because
Yeah.
you started out just like anyone in our group right now, just drinking the shakes, right?
Yeah.
You had an experience. You lost some weight. You started feeling great. You found ease and convenience. How do you differ, or what work habits differed for you than they would for somebody just starting out who's like, I don't know anybody, I'm shy to share, because you had all these same reservations.
Yeah. It's funny. Actually did a podcast interview today, and I do a lot of different things now, but everything of who I am and what I do aside from Isogenics, is directly and related to network marketing, what I learned through this business, our team, Isogenics, all the leaders. And when I first started, the last time I ever had W-2 forms, I had 7. I've never had less than 3 W-2 forms. I started working when I was 10, washing dishes at I come from a working, hustling family, so I have that in my blood. But when it came to, I'm back. When it came to this business, I wasn't I had no expectations. Like, I knew that I had a goal to leave bartending, and I left bartending when I made 5 cycles a week, which was like, that's like what, 250 to 4 something residual income. Like, so that was like my entire week bartending towards the end. So that was so exciting to me. Like, I was like, I thought I made it. I'm like, yes. But I wasn't comparing myself. I was looking at these people making thousands of dollars, but that was not my goal. My goal was to get out of bartending. So I had that vision, and am the most consistent person that you'll meet. Like, I just know how to work. I know how to get up and do it. And yeah, there was days that I didn't want to do things. I would like cry, but then I would get on the phone. Like, one of the biggest years in my business was when the hurricane happened, however long that was. And I was displaced. I lived in 4 different places in 4 months. I remember doing calls on the side of the road, like crying, getting on a call. Like, and actually Carrie could totally attest to this because she was there during the time. I was sitting in front of the U-Haul place where I kept whatever stuff that I had, like crying to her, but then doing a 3-way call for her. You know what I mean? So to answer your question more specifically, I was so consistent. And I didn't compare. I used other people as like, all right, they're doing that. That's what I want to do. Like, oh, that person's amazing. They're doing that. I want to do that too. And I did that with dancing too, my YouTube channel. Like, I'm far from the best at anything, but what I do have is definitely like consistent work ethic.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm reading this amazing book by Brian Carruthers, and they really, let me have the book. The book is right here. And he basically says that the one thing that you need to be successful is a good work ethic, a burning desire, a reason why, and coachability. And I can definitely see that you had all 3, because it's not that you knew how, but you were willing to listen and learn from the people that were doing it before you. So let's say we have a new person, right, who's like, oh my God, she's making $1 million. I mean, let me ask you, did you ever hear no? Did friends ever kind of shun you? Did you ever get your feelings hurt? I still kind of cry sometimes. I get offended.
It's funny, none of it changes. You just change. So anyone, like, and I don't know who's listening to this. I don't know if you know me, you don't know me. I would love to get to know you, whoever you are, if you're coming to Celebration, which you absolutely should. But I was so fearful to even share anything about this business. Like, ask my sister, she would yell at me. I would be teaching in front of 100 people, because back where I used to teach, that's how many people came to class. She's like, you have all these people in front of you and you won't say a word about it. And she would tell me I'm making it about me. I had friends make fun of me, like, because we start learning personal development, and I would put up positive posts, and they would say, oh, what are you, a therapist? I was the queen of vendor tables. I would do them anywhere, everywhere, anywhere. And home parties. Those were 2 things that I did a lot of. My friends would like knock my display down. I remember crying. I didn't understand it, because I felt like I was feeling purposeful about something, and I had people who I cared about, like, just like making fun of me. So yeah, of course, like, I had people make fun of me. People say no. I'm doing a pyramid scheme. I'll never forget. I heard that. I'm like, I called my sister. I'm like, is this a pyramid scheme? I was just like, what is that? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, what do you have me involved in? And guys, I wasn't making, it took me probably, like, I don't even know how long to create 5 cycles, but it took me 2 years to become a 1-star. So that's pretty significant. I think that you guys should know. So I sit here as a millionaire, being enrolled 9.5 years ago, in the business almost 8 years. But like, I want you to just think about your life in 8 years. Like, are you like doing what you're doing right now? Are you making $1 million? And when I tell you, some of you are like, I don't even want to make that. I did not want to make that. I wanted to make 5 cycles a week to leave bartending and $50,000 a year. So because that's full-time income, right? 50,000. I was going to be a teacher. But yes, like, and it's funny because the no's don't stop. I feel like sometimes it's almost more challenging for me to get people to enroll because they're like, you're so busy. You're so busy. Like sometimes my friends don't even ask me to hang out because they're like, you're so busy. So it doesn't change, but you just get better.
Yeah, I did a little live video today about that exact topic, right? If you continuously stay the course, even the millionaires still deal with rejection, objections, all these silly responses that people may have. But the game doesn't change. The process doesn't change. You change.
Yep.
It's the only profession where personal development is so strong that the person that you are now today is not the person you were when you started 9 years ago. And I'm sure when you talk to people, you still hear the same responses. I need to chew. I can't afford it. I got to ask my husband. But now you have the posture and the discipline to respond appropriately, to educate, to not really take it to heart, and to understand how people respond in the first place.
Oh my God, guys, I am not the best at selling value packs. I'm not going to lie. Like when we get on that system call, like I really I practice saying it different ways because for me, my sister bought it for me. I remember falling off as consultant certain times because I couldn't afford it. And because I didn't understand back then, like I was doing a lot of stuff with my life. I was genuinely busy, like a full-time, school, full-time job and a part-time job, So all the excuses and things that you have in your mind, I had them tenfold. And I'm so grateful for my sister because she really pushed me and saw in me something over time and still does that I don't sometimes see. So you have this right here in Angela, and we have dozens of leaders who will pour greatness into you and help you borrow that belief if you don't have it. But I tell you right now, it's the events. My sister and the events, well, she got me to the events, but the events are what kept me in it because I would look at people and I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I just always remember thinking that. And then they were just so inspiring to me.
Yeah, it's like cleanse juice for the soul. This is a business that you work for yourself, but you're not by yourself. And I never understood why people said you've got to get to the events, you've got to, be proactive, you've got to read the books and jump on the podcast. But now I get it. We need that. Like network marketers to me are like superheroes, right? You have to take a little bit of that loss of social esteem. You have to deal with people that don't understand it. You have to rise above, right? You put your little superhero cape on and you go out there and you grind each and every day. But at the end of the day, it's stories like yours that kept me in the trenches, that kept me withstanding. Listen, we're human. We feel when somebody says no and it's somebody who I wanted it for. Of course, we feel like, oh my God, my best friend doesn't want to do it with me. But through the personal development, you learn great things like, don't romanticize about somebody else's life,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that before.
I know. And I'm vividly thinking of, do you guys know that I had good friends being welcomed into the cleanse group and the business group by someone else because like whatever the excuse was, people that I showed, like walked them through, you have to know that the right people will sign up with you. And sometimes the people who sign up with someone else and do the business, like they don't always do stuff, so don't get attached to 1-2 people because as long as you're talking to a lot and just putting people on the tree, like my sister said, like you won't get so caught up on those and you'll leave room for energy to attract the ones who will.
Yeah. So let's say some of the people in our cleanse group are having a great product experience and they kind of want to share it, but they don't know where to start. What would you direct them to do? What kind of gave you the backbone to really get your feet wet and start this?
So I have learned to truly meet people where they are. And I love, it's funny because I was just talking to a couple of girls in my town here. The last two people I brought into the business, I so saw something in them, but they like refused. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. So I kept dripping, little things dripping, because I mean, like, they're amazing. And the one is, I mean, it's a year later now, but she's like, she won the Disney cruise, or the Disney trip, you know, director bonuses, you name it. And the one now, I had a meeting with her and one of her cleansers. So like, it's just dripping on these people and sharing. And then there's some that like are like, no, I'll give you referrals. But and you actually helped me with this even recently, like asking more people. Like, I feel like I don't say to my clients, like, not people who don't want to do the business, but like, wouldn't it be cool to get some products paid for and like referrals, and just really being like, you know, explaining to them, because I think people don't realize it, but people who want to do the business, it's just, you know, if in the past I made people be all or nothing, like, you're either getting on all the calls, go to the events, or I'm not working with you. Like, I was a point in my life that I was like that, or like, no, absolutely no coffee, only 2 cleanse days in a row. But like, I mean, I was new, I was, you know, didn't really know as much, but now I just really, like, I met this girl where she was, and now she's got someone who wants to do the business. So I just think if you plugging them in and connecting them with people. I also brought her to our, we have a monthly event in the area. Again, events. She came to the event before she went on the products, just because she wanted to support me, because I support her event so much. So it's like, it's going to be different for everyone, I think, Angela, but I do think getting people connected with the community at some point is so important.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Isn't it fun? Like, you get to work from home with your puppy on your lap. Like,
oh my God, I know. I'm like,
how is this real life right now? Is this
I know. This is Lola. Say hi. I don't know, but yeah, she's amazing, and like, that's my favorite part of working, is like her on my lap. It's like my favorite.
Yeah. So I will say that in the beginning, I was like, totally like exactly what you're saying. Like, I would yell at people if they wanted to sprinkle cinnamon in the shake. I would tell them that you're going to change the chemical makeup of it.
Oh my God, Angela, we're crazy. We were crazy, right? Like,
We were
here I am.
crazy. But you know what, Tat? I feel like we were also coachable. This is what we were taught, and we didn't question it. And as time progressed, we all learned our own style, and we all learned to meet people where they're at. And if someone doesn't want to sign up with a value pack, you know what? A 2-week pack is acceptable too. Like, I'm committed to helping you. So if you guys are out there and you're sharing with friends, you know, number one, that's a great tip. Meet people where they are. Maybe somebody just wants to order 4 shakes to get their feet wet. That's okay. Maybe, you know, right now you sharing your 30-second story sounds like a 4-hour soap opera. But if you don't get out of your own way, and if you don't keep doing it, how will you ever get better? We also have some pretty incredible systems that our team is privy to. Guys, this doesn't come with our company in the brown box. We're blessed enough to be on this team where a simple system has been designed. So it's up to us to learn it and teach it to others. That's what's going to allow you that passive income, is that every single person in your organization learns and understands the same system. The greatest joy, and you can agree or disagree with me, is when you coach someone and then finally they grow their wings and now they're helping their people. And they're like, you know what? I got this. I don't need you anymore. That's duplication. That is real leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to get a little offended when people would like not need me anymore. Maybe that's threat in me. But now I can totally understand how it's important to really help someone grow their wings and fly. And I think it's the biggest compliment to you as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. We have everything that you actually need in the systems, in the calls. And if I ever need my sister after all this time, I know that she'll be there. Like, I never have to worry or think about it. Like, if I need her for a call, or anyone for that matter, we don't have to be like directly linked financially to help each other or assist each other or support or anything like that.
Yeah, I will say that 6 years in, I'm still using Ed Golden for three-way phone calls because it's not about me. You've got to leave your ego at the door and really do what's best for your clients. That's connecting with other people and making friends
Yeah.
with other people on the team. So
Hmm.
what do you think has been your greatest lesson in your 9 years with Isogenics?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would I would say like I'm going to use the meeting people where they are, and it's funny. I talked to CJ and I have talked about this before, um, and like I like what you said about the products too. Like it's funny. There's been a couple people like I like do not like to start anyone not on a system, right? Like because even if they say they can't afford it, like I just explain to them about cleansing everything like that. But I feel like just even having the products in your body is so important. But not we're such different people that like everyone's gonna respond and like hear something differently. So I feel like it's just so important to just see where that person is, and even just like a little bit of isogenics in them is better than nothing. And then like keeping them connected with a community too is just like these are all things that kind of help me. But also is like I feel like I've moved past so much fear in my life because of this company and the business and like understanding things, because again, I take action. I feel weird about certain posts. Like I've gotten up on stage. I remember like stage and spoke. Like that was the biggest fear for me. And I remember when I first started doing training calls, like forget a Zoom. This was like, years ago before we even were doing Zoom. I would write notes. Like I still have so many notebooks. I was so nervous to do training calls. But we did them. Like I feel like because of the things that I did in spite of fear, like has helped me grow so much, because I'm just so average. Like I'm like meaning we're all the same. So I feel like when someone sees me do something, like yes, I make a great amount of money, but anyone can. I just feel it so in my bones that like the truth that anybody can.
Yeah, and Vicky said something very powerful. She put up a post and she said, like, this is a picture of me on stage with my librarian glasses. She said I was like horrible that day. She goes, here's Pete, who's like this rocker dude who's tattooed, who's dropping F-bombs all over the place, you know. And then there were these two guys and they were amazing. They were magnificent speakers. She said, me and Pete never quit. We never gave up. We didn't go fast. We just stayed consistent, doing the putting the post, talking
Consistent.
to people.
Yeah.
Yes. And Pete just hit millionaire. This guy, this struggling musician who didn't know. I mean, I interviewed him in this group. He was amazing. But this struggling musician became a millionaire, and Vicky's well on her way. But the two that quit, that's it. You never
Yeah.
know what could have been.
Yeah. And I always say what you're doing right now with your life, if you keep doing it and make no changes, you'll know where you're going. But like, imagine if you did the uncomfortable, and like, gosh, I feel like I did so much uncomfortable. And like, I would drive and like hours up and down the parkway. Guys, I never had off. Saturday through Sunday, I missed parties, barbecues, all the things. I remember at my last bartending job, I would look around and feel envious of the people who could enjoy the weekend. I'm like, is that ever going to be me? But like, I also had a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like I was too busy to like be miserable. And I remember my sister saying, utilize all of these jobs to share and to talk to people. I would talk to people. They would make fun of me. Like this one guy was like, you're never going to get a teaching job. I just remember so much. But I would just put on my CDs as I drove up and down the parkway, and I just tried to stay in it, as much as I could. It's so funny to think back to all the things, and I wouldn't take any of it back, because this money has like just changed our family's life, literally.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to have days off, to spend time with your mom and dad when they need you most.
Yeah.
Do wonderful things for the people that you love. They say like money is not important, but it really is. Money allows you to bless more people. It allows
Yep.
you to eat,
Yep.
pay the bills, to really provide. So I think for me, the biggest thing is managing your frustrations. And I've heard your sister say this
Yes.
probably more times than I can count. I mean, she probably drilled it into my head the first year. And I always took that away. You know, you get on the phone, you get upset, someone says no, handle your business and get back into it, because
Yeah,
this is a business of managing your frustrations.
it
You
is.
gotta stay up. You gotta be, if you love the products, if you believe in what you're doing, if this has somehow helped you, you owe it to help the next person. And that's how I always saw it. Who am I going to bless? Who can I help next?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've sponsored 1,000 people, and I would probably sign up 1,000 more, because I don't care if they do the business or not. It's great to have rock stars that want to do this with me, but to think that you're giving someone back their health. I mean, that this is a business of really servitude, of grace, of
Yep.
humility, and you've got to go first. You got to go first. We live in the type of world where everybody's face deep in their phone. Nobody even says hello. I mean, what
Yes.
does Isogenic start with? Paying a compliment? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So much yes. And my sister says a lot too. It's not about you. So if you're nervous to do something, like just think about the dozens of people that you'll be able to help when you put up that post, when you make that uncomfortable phone call, when someone hangs up on you, or like a friend makes fun of you. If I stopped after all of those things happened the first, second, third, fourth, or 10th time, we wouldn't be on this call. You know what I mean? So like, I love that you said it's about service and gratitude, because it so is. This is bigger than shakes. It's so much bigger. It's like the legacy that you can leave. It's just about an exchange of, I know, and if you're not at that point of hearing something like this, but it is, and it's exchange of energy, and like, you know, making someone feel good. So much more than shakes. I mean, people, like, as they get older, nobody cares really about abs, like, for the most part. They care about feeling good and being part of a community
Yeah.
and being able to live a healthy and happy life.
Yeah, and I have to be honest with you, 6 years of posting, nobody's ever said to me, you know, like, I hate your posts, or anytime I post and I get very vulnerable, I always get really great feedback. I think
Mm-hmm.
people cheer for the underdog. People root for the one that's willing to come out of this shell. And, you know, if I'm like doing my 10 touches every morning, reaching out to people, I may have a no thank you, not right now, but I always get compliments. Thank you for keep up the great work with the posting. Guys, this might not be for everybody, but
Yeah.
people are going to be happy for you. And
Yeah.
don't think for a minute that this isn't a profession like something like a nurse. We're, you know, I feel like this is a very noble profession. I'm proud of what we do here.
Same. Yep. 100%. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I feel really grateful. Like, so grateful.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to brand new people? Like three, let's do like 3 tips or some words of wisdom to help a
Yeah.
new person get busy.
Yeah. I remember being very overwhelmed, but I want to let you know that, like, everything is repetitive, everything. And, you know, think about, I talked to, a fitness instructor, like, when you first started teaching a class, like, did you ever think that you'd be able to do all of the things you're doing? We have so many great leaders and people who to be inspired by and follow. So just not being overwhelmed and knowing that, like, you're going to learn everything that you need to learn. My biggest thing I always say is to take action, like do something that makes you want to vomit every single day, and like early in the day, so I still do that. Like, there's so much I'm doing in my life that, like, I'm like, oh, it makes me nervous, and like, it's just is what it is. But like, I have found, like, every time you do something that makes you fearful, like, and you're making it about who you can help, like, just so much amazingness comes out of that. And then 3 things I feel like, right? There's so many. Get yourself to events. Like, I didn't even just go to Isogenics events. I started to go to personal development events, but don't be the person that goes to these events and gets on these calls and do nothing. Like, right after this call, do something. Like, every single day, do something. Like, I just feel like that gets you in the momentum of wanting to do more. Whenever I'm feeling sorry for myself or like real stuff in my life is happening, the first thing I do is like, other than if I need a second or whatever it is that I need to do, I take it off of me by calling someone or sending someone a card or like pouring greatness into someone, just because like it's just an energy shift. And by like asking that person that you've been thinking about to do this program or whatever it is for you, like you'd be surprised. Some of them are like, I'm so glad you called me. Some are going to not answer you. I've had people defriend me, guys, but do you think now where I am in my life that I care? Like, I don't. Like, it's not that I don't care in a negative way, like, but like people's opinions really don't mean much because they're really thinking too much about themselves anyway. And I feel like we don't do things because we're nervous of how people think, right? But it doesn't matter in the end. So I know that was a smorgasbord of 3, but like I hope you guys got something out of that.
It's incredibly valuable, and I share your sentiment in that if the person would not have, the person that signed me up was a total stranger to me. My friend Jen posted that she lost 9 pounds, and my friend Jen did not sign me up. She gave me away to somebody else. Guys, I went on to grow a team of 30,000 people. All these people could have been under Jen. Do not fail to miss the opportunity to share this with someone, because you never know who will come into your life that will knock this out of the ballpark. The second thing is, I started with a 9-day program. I was so uncoachable. I had constipation for the good 9 days. Like, I called my coach and I really did not, I had a hard time, but God bless her. She stood with me every day and got me through it. And you know what? In 11 days, I had great results and I felt wonderful. So meet people where they are. If you have a tough client, pour into them. And if you wake up in a bad mood or shy or scared or petrified, do it anyway. I mean, Tara's story is just, it's incredible to go from someone who is working so many jobs to now she's making $1 million. Guys, $1 million a year. Do you know I would have to work at my old job 20 years before I could ever, I think 40 years.
I would have never made it, ever. Never. I feel like I was like hustling. Like I think the most I ever made between bartending and all my jobs was like close to 70, or like it was like 65 one year, I think. But like, I mean, that's why I wanted 50, because that was like teacher pay and I knew I would do other things. But yeah, so I just feel like, guys, that doesn't have to be your goal. Like, it was not mine. I remember writing 2-star down at one of the events too. So yeah, just keep writing your goals down too and make them visual.
Yeah.
I literally still, I wonder if I can turn this around. I still have my goals. I don't know. Oh yeah, I can turn it around. Look, this was before. Now, like I was close to making $1 million the past 2 years. But that was from like earlier in the year. I said I was going to pass the $1 million mark. I mean, I still do it. I have like my whole board here. Like, I don't, like, I'm looking at it. It doesn't stop because you get to a certain point ever, because I feel like I never, I want this for so many people.
Yeah. And look at Joanna and Mike and what it's done for their life.
I mean,
it's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're amazing. Isn't, like, you're such a great leader. Like, I just love watching you every day. I was telling Angela, I'm like, I don't really follow isogenics people because there's so many. I go, but I won't take her out of my newsfeed because she inspires me so much.
I love you. And I hope you guys really got a sense of her heart. She's incredible. She's humble, beautiful, very hardworking. And, I really believe that, anybody can do this. You just got to have the heart and you got to be consistent and not give up. And you really are a true example of that. I've been watching you for 6 years do your thing. And it's nice. And now because of Isogenics, you get to do other things. You get to dance your life, travel all over the world. You have an amazing YouTube channel. If you guys don't follow her, follow her. She's incredible.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I love doing these calls. And, if anyone ever needs anything, has a question, has a Zumba instructor, like, please don't hesitate.
Yeah, I love you. So please join us next Wednesday. We're going to have Alexa Reyes hosting her first call ever, and she's giving the best tips on how to support your clients. So thank you so much, Tara. I love you, and I
love you
appreciate
too. Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone.